talk about D&D on their Friday night. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
all right. Let's go to live thing. Let's see if we set it up right. It's pretty good. It looks pretty good. I kind of underestimated how much room we had for the document. All right. We're live. We're good. So, all right. We talked about it. We joked about it, but now we're going to try and do it.
All right.
Friday night, 1 hour vodcast, just talking about D&D and tabletop stuff. So here we are. 1 hour on the clock. Alexa, set a timer for 1 hour. She's our she's our production manager. We couldn't get Marisha Ray, so we just have Alexa. All right. So we had a lot of things that we could have talked about, but we've got the D&D playtest coming up on Sunday, and I was hoping to get another D&D playtest in later in the month. Very excited about the new stuff. And it's topical. Not as topical as being upset about Mario's voice in the new Mario movie, which
Look, people are upset about that.
yeah, that's a whole nother discussion, though. I mean, we could go on. I could go on for an hour about the new Mario Brothers movie and what a cinematic masterpiece it's going to be. But anyways, like it's not as topical as all that, but it's still pretty topical. So I thought it'd be good to kind of sit down and we'll talk about more ONE DND because we talked about last Friday, but we definitely had to rush towards the end. So here we are. And then I guess any questions that come up, if there are any questions, we'll answer them towards the end. But in the meantime, we'll just chat it out. So how was preparing a level 8 adventure that specifically caters to rogues, bards, and rangers using SRD and ONE DND playtest material? How was that?
All right. So I'll let you know when I finish prepping.
But the game's Sunday morning.
I know
Uh,
I have the whole Saturday for that.
okay, fair,
But
fair.
I will say that when I saw this and the name expert and like the classes that are there, first thing that came to my mind was a heist.
Fair, fair.
And so that's the idea that I sat down like, okay, what, looked up, did a little googling, say, oh, what do people think about heists, and like what are like the main things, and people just said that you need to have a planning stage, and you need to make sure they have the information they need for the heist, and they have a good plan, and then let them do their plan, but add complications. That's what's going on, and I think that's really good because the whole thing about experts is they have skills, and giving them opportunities to use those skills is going to be what's most important about testing them out. So a heist is a very good opportunity to give them the ability to use their skills.
Hmm.
So I think like with the primer deck I sent you guys out, you guys you guys have a good enough amount of information to make sure you can do the heist. You guys are gonna go to a party, use that opportunity. The party is gonna be at the location of the heist. You guys are going to use that information to gain some more, gain information, do some information gathering, scoping out the place a little bit, whatever you can at this party, and then you guys are going to have some time to plan and then execute your heist. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
And I've been what I'm also doing is because of this whole ONE DND playtest, and they're trying to do they always talk about making adjustments to monsters, but this is also supposed to be backwards compatible with everything they've made. I'm planning to since it's level 8, I'm planning to use as many monsters of the multiverse monsters as possible. So I'm not making Giphy monsters or anything like that for this.
Yeah. That's as much as I've enjoyed Giphy monsters and Matt Colville monsters, and there was a recent update to Matt Colville's monster book that is currently under development, and all that's really exciting, and it definitely makes for a more exciting game, way more exciting boss fights and things like that. That's the hardest part for me of playtesting is uninstalling all my mods. If you think about it like a video game, right? We don't play normal Skyrim. We play like ultra modded Skyrim. So our opinions on Dungeons and Dragons and our opinions on how things operate, they're always we're always looking through the stained glass window of our 60-page house rule document, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so when we're when we're online and we're fighting the good fight about like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons, it's great. You don't need to worry about it. Dungeons and Dragons is so fun. Why? Don't worry about playing another game. Like D&D can do anything. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it could do anything because we've changed it so much, right? So it's fascinating to test these new rules accurately. You have to divorce yourself from every cool, fun, smart house rule that you have made, and you have to play the real game. And that's definitely been, even looking back at our last playtest, that's definitely feels like a completely different game.
Mhm.
Um, and so that for me is always kind of the most interesting part and also the most frustrating part. I remember playtesting D&D Next, which turned into 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and there was so much dumb shit. And we just ran it. We just ran it like the playtest material said to run it, and that's what you have to do. Like you have to run it as written to get an accurate playtest. Doesn't matter what your game design instincts, doesn't matter what your DM instincts tell you, doesn't matter what the rule of cool tells you. You got to run it as is to really understand the rules and how the rules are going to interact with each other.
Yeah.
I find it interesting then to successfully run a playtest that also ends up being a very fun session. Right? I feel like that's a real test of like a dungeon master's skill. Can you run the game completely SRD, completely raw, follow these new and often questionable rules, and still have everybody walk away at the end feeling like they had a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good challenge, but it's the amount of work and the amount of effort that goes into playtesting. I find it hard to believe that there are people out there that are really honestly playtesting this stuff. Um, we could play test this material in our ongoing campaigns by saying like, hey guys, we're going to add the new rule that monsters can like grapple or shove instead of dealing damage when they make attacks. And like, that's cool, but we're still only experiencing that rule within the modded universe we've created for ourselves. So it's not like how good is this rule in Dungeons and Dragons? It's how good is this rule in the games that we run, which doesn't provide accurate playtest information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another
Yep.
thing I was surprised to see this week, there was a lot of people that never knew that you could ready an action as a rogue and then get your sneak attack in between turns. They're people just didn't know that you could do that. There were the people that knew, and then there were the people that had no idea. And then of course there were the DMs that hate rogues, and so they were just like, never, never. I would never allow that. These are the same people that are like, trying to nerf and ban sneak attack, which is like
Yeah.
a core feature of the class. Yeah, yeah. Like I understand being frustrated with the assassin. I think the assassin's a poorly designed subclass, and it encourages a playstyle that is not supported by modern Dungeons and Dragons.
Mhm.
Like that is to say, Critical Role made it popular to have a table of like 6 or 7, God forbid, 8 people. That assassin's not going to be having a good time, right? Because there's no way a group of 7 or 8 people are going to ambush anybody anytime soon. And there's no way that like 6 or 7 people are going to wait for your assassin to go off on their own Assassin's Creed solo mission while they sit around and do nothing. So it's like, doesn't really do much. But like every other rogue and rogue subclass, I feel like they're pretty solid. I felt like the rogue really didn't need a lot. And
They felt like
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, and if you look at our own house rules document, the rogue has very little. Even with the recent changes where we tried to pull in a lot of A5e, I almost felt like I was giving the rogues A5e stuff because I felt bad that I gave everybody else A5e stuff.
Yeah.
But I really didn't feel that, and I play rogues a lot. I didn't really feel like rogues needed anything to make them better. Um, but yeah, I'm a little bummed. I'm a little bummed about losing the opportunity attack, sneak attack. I think that's going to be kind of hard to swallow. Um, this is going to be a game with rogues that can't do a readied action or opportunity attack, sneak attack, and they can't crit on sneak
No, no,
attacks, right?
no. So in this playtest, so they say each time they release a playtest, they're gonna re-release the rules glossary,
Okay,
and
okay,
you have to follow the rule glossary for the most recent play UA. And in
okay.
this one, they went back to regular PHB critical hits and attack rolls.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I think people were very unhappy with the house rule of critical hits. I was prepared to run Curse of Strahd, both Curse of Strahd campaigns, with no critical hits on monsters. Uh,
I think honestly, after playing it,
mhm,
I'm okay with it. Like
yeah,
I'm fine with a monster not having a critical hit, and then me just having a button that is high damage that I can use every once in a while.
yeah, and I did during the couple of weeks there where we had made the decision like, we're not going to do critical hits on monsters for Curse of Strahd because we're going to do a bunch of other stuff. I did start to design the monsters to all have like a recharge on a 5 or 6 or recharge on a 6 ability,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And then I picked up Monster Weaknesses by Daniel Kahn and friends, and then I picked up Anne Gergeson's Bloodied and Bruised series, and I started strapping that shit onto the monsters. And yeah, I was like, even if they don't have crits, this is enough stuff to make every monster suddenly became very, very interesting. It had like a lot more
Mhm.
options, especially with the Bloodied and Bruised stuff, because halfway through the fight or halfway through that creature's life, it suddenly gains new abilities, new powers. You don't really need the crits for that. Um, I just,
But
yeah,
another thing I do think about though is that if we, by getting rid of the monster crits and then having to make monsters a little bit more, I mean, adding a recharge. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Maybe for us, we're used to it, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of a high number of DMs out there who, are just throwing getting a stat block and just looking at it, and then, you know, they just need 2 attacks,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Well,
And
yeah,
that's all they really want. And then they having a recharge ability, yeah, maybe for a boss, yeah, that's when you want to pay attention. But if every single monster now had more complicated stat blocks, at least, I mean, I don't think they're complicated, but many people probably do. That's with them trying to make this as accessible and pick up and play.
right.
And
Teach your grandma in 15 minutes is
yeah,
like kind of the goal. I'm pretty sure is.
so I mean, I can understand them not wanting to have crits to make it more accessible, but then not wanting to make monsters too complicated, also keep it accessible.
Well, here's a great example. Monsters of the Multiverse represents what I feel is the direction they're taking 5.5 design.
Mm-hmm.
And I would show something from Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but I don't want to spoil it for you because you're a Wild Beyond the Witchlight player. But there are a handful of monsters in Wild Beyond the Witchlight that I actually, like, while streaming prep for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I was like, holy shit, this is a really good monster. like
Mm-hmm.
this is really well designed. This is a really good monster. And very, very rarely do I feel like that about a basic bitch 5th edition monster.
I
Um,
guess the question is that monster like a regular like mook
well, the one
basic monster
this
or
particular ones I'm thinking about are all boss monsters.
okay,
Yeah,
see,
all of the
and
boss
that's
monsters
where it
are
makes
really good.
sense.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna do that, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna be doing that for like a wolf.
But
You know?
here you have a Dwargar Mindmaster. So this is a psionicist, which in other editions of D&D, this would be a complicated stat block just because of the psionics. They would try in earlier 5e to recreate the psionic abilities by giving it a bunch of spells, like they did with the Mind Flayers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But here you see this looks exactly like a 4th edition stat block. This has been turned in. This is a 4th edition D&D stat block. Like, it's simple. Only the bare minimum stuff is here to run the monster. You got the traits of the monster. You've got a few actions the monster can do. The monster has a recharge ability. This is a challenge rating 2 monster that has a recharge ability. Pretty nice. And then over here, they've got this mind mastery ability. And I believe they could just spam this as much as they want as an action, which is pretty cool. And then they also have a bonus action, which admittedly is a Dwegar thing of changing size or whatever. But it kind of ticks all the boxes in the Matt Colville monster design, right? It's got a bonus action. It's got a handful of things that it could do, but not like a huge list of things. There's no mention of spells anymore. There's no mention of spells. This creature could turn invisible, but it doesn't cast invisibility. It just turns invisible. Now, I've said this before, and I keep saying it. Enjoy your counter spells while you can. Because there's just you're not gonna be able to counterspell shit anymore. Like it's not gonna happen. Like NPCs for the most part are not going to be casting spells in the way that you think that they are. All of the spellcasting creatures in Witchlight, they all have spellcasting like abilities that don't count as spellcasting. Some of them still have spell list, but their bread and butter moves simulate spells without actually being spells. It's very interesting. Let's see in chat. What if the new monsters in ONE DND could spend legendary actions to instantly recharge a breath or something else? I think that's fantastic. I think it's a great thing to do with your legendary actions. I've definitely moved past legendary actions. When Giffy rolled out them Paragon actions, it's hard to go back, honestly. It's very hard to go back.
If they did that,
yeah.
I bet they would probably make it so you could spend a legendary action to reroll.
Oh. Okay, to try to recharge. You would you would spend a point to try to recharge.
The narrative behind that is that it's like,
trying to light a Bic lighter that's starting to go bad on you.
Yeah.
All right, Edwin Sue says, in the second package, you use player handbook crit rules again. In the video about the first package, Jeremy Crawford said monsters don't crit because monsters have recharge abilities to make powerful attacks. There you go. Yeah. And I think that is good. I mean, the fact that we're looking right here at what would have been a very complicated monster that is very simplistic. I could look at this without having to prep ahead of time. I could be running this adventure and it says there's Dwegar Mindmaster, and I right click, open in a new tab, or I'm in Foundry, so I just open the character sheet up and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this. I don't have to know every spell. I don't have to look at every spell and know oh shit, so this is a Psionicist, so it's kind of like a wizard, so I've got all these spells. I got to figure out which spells are going to be used, because monsters only live 2 rounds tops. They only live 2 rounds tops. Every once in a while, you get a lucky-ass monster that manages to live longer than 2 rounds. And, of course, a well-designed boss, you're going to get maybe 5 rounds tops. 5 rounds tops out of a really good boss. Now, in the games that we play, we got some fights against bosses that go 7, 8 rounds. But we're using so many house rules to make that kind of experience happen. I love it. I love the monster design from Multiverse. It's my favorite part of Multiverse. I don't agree with a lot of the I don't agree with the vanilla washing of all of the races. I feel that they did a disservice to so many of these creative and interesting cultures and races that people worked hard to develop. And now it's just sort of a catalog of humans wearing funny hats. But I do love the work that was done on the monsters, and the adventures that have come out since they shifted to this design. All the monsters in there are fantastic. The Spelljammer monsters, the Witchlight monsters. I don't think Van Richten had switched over to this style of design yet. I think Van Richten's still using kind of the older design ideas. But
some of the monsters in Rime are this is a Rime monster.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so some of them filtered into Rime a bit.
Oh, very nice. All right. Let's see if what's another one that kind of comes to mind here.
I mean, now they're getting rid of a lot of spells and turning them into spell-like abilities, but some of them still do have spells too.
Right. So here you go. Here's Orcus. Orcus is allegedly a CR26. I fought the original Orcus stat block when 5e D&D first came out. It was my first 5e character that made it to level 20. And the whole campaign was about going and taking on Orcus and all that jazz. And it was not a super exciting fight because the DM did run Orcus as written. And we were very strong. And so, I felt bad, honestly, because we were able to shut down so much of what Orcus did. And it just didn't feel like we were fighting a god. But here you got a CR26 monster under the multiverse, Monsters of the Multiverse rules, and you can see that this guy still has spells. Like, I mean, he's a god, you know, so he's still got some spell casting. He's still got some focus magic item spell casting. But he also, you know, he also just has his static go-to moves that he can bust out.
And
And
the good thing about these spells too is that they're instead of having like, oh, this person's a whatever level caster and they have this many spell slots. No, he just can cast this a number of times a day.
absolutely, yeah,
So much
absolutely.
easier.
Having to track the spell slots and everything, just a pain, a pain. So I do love the new direction that the monster design has
Mhm.
gone in. So, all right, so that's good. I like that. Let's see. And you were saying that in the new rules, let's see. What was another thing that came up here? Oh, we were talking about this on the server, jumping, right?
Yeah.
Everybody had opinions on jumping. So what are we thinking here? On the jump action. I feel like we need to jump a lot this Sunday to
Yeah.
really experience what this is going to mean.
That's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah, so
But yeah.
definitely throw some challenges in there where we have to jump a lot because
Yeah.
having to jump as an action, I'm gonna put it out there. That doesn't sound very fun.
No, it doesn't.
Um, I think that yeah, I don't think that's very fun at all. Having to always roll as part of your movement, I can get behind, but having to actually invest your action in jumping, I feel is super punishing to melee characters especially, and of course non-casters because non-casters always getting screwed over. Um,
But I mean, with
yeah,
this, they did update it to you can jump pretty dang far.
and height no longer seems to influence it, right?
No, it's just your roll.
Yeah, which is good because like my cat could jump on top of my refrigerator. And I can't jump on top of my refrigerator, but according to 5e D&D, I should be able to jump much higher than the cat can.
Mhm.
So, but of course, in 5e D&D, cats can't see in the dark and a lot of other things. I don't know what they have against cats. But yeah, I like that it's not limited by height. I don't think it's the right move to make it cost an action. There's already a lot of hate from dungeon masters about flying characters. They don't like characters that could fly. Any racial ability to fly, flying characters. Yet they released 7 different bird people, but nobody wants these flying characters around. Well, now like jumping is even harder than it was before. So like of course if I'm a melee character, I'm going to want every possible advantage to not have to waste my action jumping. So like all they're doing is creating a metagame that pushes you even further away from being a melee based character, or even worse, it pushes designers away from making interesting places to fight. Right? If I'm designing a dungeon or if I'm designing an arena to have a fight in, I don't want to punish my melee players by having a bunch of like jumping challenges. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, wasting their action to
yeah,
jump just
yeah, that
like you can't and like because it still causes your movement. That's your action to jump, and you can't even dash afterwards. Like even get up close. Like I'm trying to close the distance, and I have to jump over this gap. I
yeah.
mean, I'll have to run up, stop at the thing because I probably don't have enough movement to make the jump,
And we'll
and
just
then
yeah.
on my next turn I have to back up 10 feet so I can get a running start.
So creatures that have a pounce or have a leap ability, pounce or leap, that's going to be huge, right? Because if I've got a badass monster, I've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I got Tyrannosaurus Rex. My height and apparently it's a strength check, right? So it's not just my raw strength and my height anymore. My Tyrannosaur is going to run up to this river of lava, and I guess she's just going to stop and start like pumping her arms and her legs to get a little bit of momentum, and then she's going to just fucking Yoshi jump as her action for the turn across the lava, and that's it. That's what she did, and then
Mhm.
everybody, yeah, like that's what
The problem here is that it's also still limited by your movement.
right.
So like yeah, you'll run up to that edge, and if you only have I don't know, say you had enough movement to jump the gap, right?
Yeah,
As long as you had enough room to do the running start, so you can do a long jump. The most you can jump is 20 feet.
if you jump, you should also dash. Jumping and dashing should be rolled into the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah,
I
jump.
think so.
Yeah, so upsetting to me. So upsetting. Like I've been very positive. I've been a huge proponent of ONE DND, and I've really gone to bat for it. I've kind of tried to point out to people, hey, you're getting mad about something that you haven't even play tested yet. I don't have to play test jump as an action. I play D&D 6 times a week. Jump as an action is a dumb decision. But we're going to play it out on Sunday so that we have some recorded evidence about how dumb it is. So yeah, definitely try to work a fight into it where we're wasting action economy on jumping.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's a good thing to test for that. So, but did somebody in chat? Coxman points out light weapon property change. Well, we've already been doing that, and it's pretty fucking cool. I'll tell you what, as the person that's been benefiting from it in the Monster Hunter game, it's pretty damn cool. I haven't had this much fun playing a dual wielding character since 2nd edition D&D. When being a dual wielder was the strongest build, it was so good. Dual wielding in 2nd edition was like the greatest thing ever. You made like 7 attacks per round, but it was dumb. I'm enjoying it. Like, I like it. I'm actually surprised sometimes because I'm playing a rogue, so I'm already digging into my bonus action a lot. It's incredible that I'll have a turn where I'll actually have my bonus action left over because I didn't have to use it for my offhand strike. It's really cool. So but right here it says when you take attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make one extra attack as part of the same action. That extra attack must be made with a different light weapon other than in the other hand, and you don't add your ability modifier to it. You can make this extra attack only once on each of your turns. Theirs is actually better than the house rule we've been using because we said it had to be against the same target.
Yep.
They're just saying you get another attack.
Yeah, but they did the way they balanced it out is that they made all the other stuff that adds to dual wielding weaker.
Fair, yeah. Oh no, I like it. I like it quite a bit. Let's see. Raptor 21 Echo says jump action should only be called for when you need to mechanically go beyond your numerical value. Otherwise, it is a sunken cost, especially when game design typically favors monsters. Absolutely. Now, one thing to point out here, Raptor 21 Echo, is these rules apply to heroes and monsters. So your monsters, if they don't have a leap ability or a pounce ability, they just got super lame. If they don't have aggressive to get a free dash action with their bonus action, if you're in an area where your monsters have to like jump over stuff to get to your players, it's pretty lame because they're gonna run up and be like, "Oh no!" and then they're gonna stop and they're gonna have to wait until they have enough movement and they're gonna spend movement and an action to jump over the thing. I feel like if it was a video game like Solasta, for example, we would be exploiting the hell out of that. If we knew that a monster had to have a certain amount of movement and an action to jump something, we would always position ourselves so that the monsters had to jump to get to us because that would just shut down their action economy. It's terrible. Just a terrible rule. Let's see. Edwin Sue says the jump does not expand your movement. So if you only have a speed of 30, you can move 30 feet. And then jump 30 feet as an action. The jump does not expend your movement. Oh.
It doesn't. I thought it said, okay, hold on, let me see here.
All right, so let's see. With the jump action, you attempt to leap more than 5 feet. When you take this action, your speed must be greater than 0. That's the only stipulation. Your speed must be greater than 0. You must make a DC 10 strength check, acrobatics or athletics. If you don't move at least 10 feet immediately before the action, you have disadvantage. On a success, the check's total determines the distance in feet that you can clear. This jump doesn't expend your movement, but the distance you clear can't exceed your speed. That's what tripped us up. So Edwin, you're saying that we could run 30 feet, use a jump action, and then travel the number that we got on the check as long as it's not more than 30 feet.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, feel it a little.
Okay. That's much better.
Feeling that, all right. Feeling a little bit better about it.
It is
so it is like a dash. It is like a dash. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Then that's much better.
Okay.
Yes, we gotta read through these a little bit.
Yeah, damn. All right. Whew. Thank
Cut
God.
out. Whew.
Yeah, thank God Edwin was there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're gonna look like some chumps on Sunday morning. Okay.
hmm
Good. 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 All right. Feeling a little bit better about it. Still don't like it, but still feeling better about it for
Honestly,
sure.
I'm okay with it now that if it doesn't expend your actual movement, so it means you can run 10 feet, jump 30 feet, and then run the rest of your. And it's like
Yeah,
it is pretty much a dash action.
but you still lose the action though.
Yeah, but it's a dash action.
Yeah. I don't know. It
You
to
lose
me
the action when you dash.
to me it still increases the value of a climb speed and a flight speed tremendously. Tremendously. Yeah. And I do like that they had to clarify that climbing is not spider climbing.
Yeah.
Because
I know,
apparently, yeah.
I thought that. I thought if you had a climbing speed, you had spider climb.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't think I've ever run it like that, and I assume that you just let Clank do it because Clank was the main character of the campaign. So, that was like sounds like, and also I was like, I kind of have a climb speed, sort of, as a rogue thief. Now,
That's the reason why I let Clank with a climb speed climb under stuff. I just let you, if it had handholds and stuff like that, you were able to climb like normal.
right, yeah. Well, I mean, I like that rogue thief now gets a climb speed, so that's good. Yeah, but I do think it was apparently a much needed clarification that climbing and spider climbing are two completely different things. So that's good. And let's see. Here, special speeds. Some creatures have special speeds such as climb, fly, and swim. If you have more than one speed, you must choose which one to use each time you make your move. So this is different because it used to be run some weird ass algebra and figure out like what speed you used for what and how much is left of this and how much is left of that. You got to choose what flavor ice cream before you start scooping it, essentially. Yeah. Oh, Edwin also says if the jump rule stays like it is, it's going to be a pretty sure bet that monks will get to jump as a bonus action. For sure. Yeah. I think that monks are going to be the movement specialist. I think they're going to be the mobility specialist. That's going to be their new sort of flavor. Because they're existing in a group with fighters, barbarians, and monks, right? Those are the only three that are in the warrior group. So, like, fighters going to be well balanced, right? So they're going to be offense and defense. I don't know why they wouldn't. I think they're going to keep barbarian as defense, right? Because technically the barbarian's defense, if you think about it. Because attacking recklessly makes you a more appealing target. Your damage resistance makes you able to soak the hits that you have attracted by being a easier target. A lot of people think barbarian is DPS, but that's not really what 5th edition barbarian is. 5th edition barbarian is a tank. It is a tank class. And that kind of leaves DPS and mobility as sort of the monk specialization. So I hope that the monks finally get something good. So yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah, but I do like that you have to choose the flavor of the speed and use that for the entire move action. Now, obviously, if you move with your movement and then you take a dash action, when you take a dash action, now you can pick a different movement, but then you have to spend all of that movement. Am I understanding that correctly?
I think so.
Yeah.
So if you have a speed and a climb speed, you can use one of those speeds when you move, but not both during the same move.
Well, here's a question then. I play a rogue right now that's got a climb speed because cat, right? So I like to move and jump onto a wall and then climb the wall. So
yeah, you're gonna have to wait. It looks like I think you might have to wait.
So if I want to climb a wall now with my climb speed, I can't climb the wall with my climb speed.
So what you would have to do?
Could I just climb the floor?
Yeah, climb the floor.
Okay, but you just declare I'm using my climb speed this round, even if you're not climbing. But that would open it up to climb.
If you have a climb speed and your climb speed is equals your regular speed, just always be climbing.
Yeah, I guess so. If we're thinking about it in a completely binary video game type thing where I have to choose my speed flavor at the beginning of every turn, yeah, of course I'm going to pick climb every time because that gives me the versatility to walk or climb.
Now where it happens is swim.
Right. So if I run and I jump into the water, I guess I'm done until I use it until my next.
No, it's gonna be difficult terrain until it's on your turn.
Oh, until you start swimming. Oh my God. Damn. Damn.
Which I guess I mean, in a way, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But, this is what you do. You run, get up to the water, use your jump action to jump as far into the water as you need to, and then on your turn, you'll start swimming.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good question. How would that work standing from prone and flying away? I think that you would declare, I'm going to use my flight speed. You'd lose half your flight speed standing up, and then you could use the rest of your flight speed to move.
Yep.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Yeah. It's just picking which pool you're using at the start of your turn.
Man, that's going to be... Ooh, I've gotten so spoiled on just, doing the dumb algebra, right? And there's no better place to see that than the later games of Skull and Shackles, where everybody had flight speeds and everybody had swim speeds and everybody had every kind of speed. And we'd always have to figure out, like, okay, so you moved like this, okay, but now you want to start flying. So subtract, like, the 20 feet that you moved from the 60 feet of flight speed. And it's like... You know what I mean? Like, it got to the point where it's like we would just say whatever your highest speed is, just use that speed, right?
That's what this is.
Yeah.
My highest speed, whatever your highest speed is, that's what everybody's going to use at first, unless.
Well, you can't swim on land. If I got a 60-foot swim speed and only a 30-foot land speed, I can't say I'm swimming on land, right?
That's true. Yeah, and that's where it's going to happen. But like for fly, if you have a 60-foot fly speed and a 30-foot regular speed, you're just going to be always flying.
Yeah.
You can't fly.
You know what I'm curious about? Is there any DM out there that's playing 5th edition D&D? Because I know that there's some Pathfinder DMs doing this, but are there any DMs out there that actually consider things like wingspan for a flying character? Like, I know there's a lot of flying characters. They got wings. They're flying inside the dungeon. Like, how? Like, how you got a 15-foot wingspan? You know what I'm saying? Like, your miniature is taking up like a line of spaces. Like, how are you flying in this corridor? How are you flying in this dungeon? I don't know. That's nothing to do with ONE DND, but I think about it sometimes because I mostly don't feel like arguing about it. So I'm just like, well, I don't know. You just fly. Man, you push off the wall. I don't know. You tuck your wings in. I don't know how it works, but it kind of begs the question, like, how does anybody track that stuff? That would certainly be a way to make a flying character, a flying race, a bit less appealing, especially if you're doing a lot of like dungeon delving and indoor stuff. But I don't know.
And that person plays a small owlman.
Raptor 2 on Echo points out that swim speed on land is just prone crawling. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess you just lay there and do you do the worm. You just kind of like flopping.
No, that's land swimming is burrowing.
Okay, but yeah, that's okay, but that's like a literal.
Army crawling is climbing speed.
Let's see. Coxbane points out spellcasting got changed since now the UA changes it to prepare a number of spells equal to the number of spell slots they have on the level of each slot. So that's kind of a neat speculation too. People have been speculating, what does that mean for wizards, right? If everybody's a prepared caster, if everybody's a ritual caster, what is left to make wizards special?
I mean, we don't know because we haven't gotten to the priest and mage side yet, but like with the spellcasters here, everybody seems to be limited by school.
Right.
And so I'm thinking just wizards can not be limited by school.
Wizards will literally be able to prepare any spell on the arcane list. Yeah.
And they might, who knows? Maybe we'll see. They'll have some spells that they can pick. Maybe at every level they can pick a spell that's always prepared. Plus,
they lean into the signature spell real hard.
Yeah,
they lean into signature spell. Because I remember in 4E, everyone was concerned about, like, how are wizards going to stand out? How are wizards still going to be wizards in 4th edition? And a lot of people looking back at 4E, they don't think that wizards were handled well or done justice. For one, all of their signature spells kind of got nerfed. They didn't take the nostalgia route of making Fireball just mechanically better than every other spell. They said, no, it's Fireball. It works like all these other spells. No one liked that. But everyone had the same allotment of abilities in 4E. So it was complete equity across the board. Everyone had 2 of this and 1 of this and 1 of that, and that's what you had. So to kind of compensate, Wizards had a spell book, and then in the spell book, they had more options. And then every morning they would prepare their quote-unquote spells for the day. They could hot swap those abilities. So me as a bard, I have my 2 at wills, my 1 encounter, my 1 daily, and that's all I got. The wizard, though, every morning can change that list out for other stuff, so that they were a prepared caster in a system that didn't have prepared casters, essentially. So that's how they stayed wizard. But here and now, yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge to make wizards feel different. Because again, like, everyone's a prepared caster now, everyone's a ritual caster now. And I think that that's good, though. I mean, it feels bad as a DM to explain to a person who actually figured out what ritual casting was, because that's not a very clear mechanic in 5th edition. And they're like, cool, I took these spells because they won't use my spell slots up because they're ritual. And in a DM, you have to be like, well, actually, only certain people can do ritual casting unless you have the feat. And then they're like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to take a feat just to do ritual casting. Like, why would it be labeled ritual if I can't be, if I can't cast it as a ritual? That's just how it is. Yeah, so I do like that. I do like that quite a bit. But
jumping back to the speed thing real quick.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the thing just for fly, the actual rules for fly speed. So there was always, I guess I've never really understood the difference between fly and hover because the way most people play is like, it seems like everybody also has hover when they have flying.
Oh, yeah.
But they put a distinction here now. So if you have a fly speed and you don't have hover, if you're incapacitated or restrained while flying, you fall. If you have hover, you don't.
Okay. A fly speed is used to move through the air. While you have a fly speed, you can stay aloft until you land, fall, or die. While flying, if you fall or are incapacitated or restrained, you fall. If you have the hover trait, you can stay aloft even while incapacitated or restrained. Yeah, I mean that's been a thing.
I mean, I like myself, I've never knew exactly what hover did. Everybody actually hovered.
Oh, no. I mean, honestly, I've seen DMs kind of screw this up with hover, where like, oh, I knock the beholder down, and I think a beholder's immune to prone anyways, but and then the DM's like, oh, I guess you spike it like a volleyball, which admittedly is very, very cool. But this right here is saying if they have hover, that hover is almost indicating that this is magical flight. Like, this is they are flying like Superman, right? They're flying because they are magically aloft. In 3rd edition, flight was so complicated, and I guess 2nd edition to a certain degree. You actually had, in, I believe, 2nd and 3rd edition, there were rankings of like how good you were at flying, and then that would determine like how easily you could change direction, like while you were flying. So like a dragon would have to do like a wing over to like get back to do like a U-turn, basically. I don't know too many groups that actually use those rules and followed those rules, which is probably why they don't exist anymore. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see a flight rule that said if you didn't have hover, you had to constantly keep moving, like on your turn. But I think this is good clarification here to show that like hovering is not so much flapping your wings to stay in the same space. Hovering is like literally magically just in the air. Yeah. And so I'm glad that there's that clarification.
I think the biggest thing that I like the most about all of this UA and ONE DND stuff is clarification. There's so much clarification going on in here.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, "It's not even new stuff. Why call it new stuff? It's just the same stuff." It's like, okay, but it's also like, like you just said, it's clear. They're
Yeah.
clarifying these questions that we have to constantly go to Twitter and take screenshots of like Jeremy Crawford and sage advice and all that.
Mm.
We don't have to do that anymore, right? It's like when a Magic the Gathering card is so convoluted that they finally reprint it in a way that sort of makes sense. Like,
I guess
yeah.
I'll ask the question: did it feel like new stuff when it went from fourth to third, 3.5 to 4 and 4 to 5?
Oof. So let me tell you, it felt so new going from 3 to 4 that like it would be like if Sony was like, "Hey, let us introduce you to the PlayStation 6." And the PlayStation 6 was an Xbox. Like that's how different it felt going from 3rd
Mhm.
edition to 4th edition. It was a slap in the face for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a completely different product. Yeah, it was like ordering a pizza and someone delivers like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like
Okay, from 2 to 3 then.
2 to 3 is a better comparison, but even then, yes, it was a radical change. In second edition, we had something called THACO, which meant to hit armor class 0. The lower your armor class was, the better your armor class was. So you actually wanted to have negative armor class. And then you had to do algebra every time you attacked somebody, because you wanted to have lower modifiers for this, but higher modifiers for this. You wanted to roll high on your attack rolls. You wanted to roll low on your saving throws. You wanted to have, if you wanted to do a skill, only rogues had skills, and they weren't called rogues; they were called thieves. And they had a percentage, and the percentage went up as they went up in level, and you had to roll a
Mhm.
D100 to get the stuff. It was a fucking disaster. And we had fun, but like, I had second edition friends that never switched over to third edition because they hated the idea that it was so different. And third edition straight up said, like, hey, we have this new kind of wizard. It's a sorcerer. We kind of introduced it in second edition, and nobody really liked it. But we're gonna double down. We got the sorcerer now, pretty exciting. And everyone's like, I hate it. And they're like, okay, well, we also thought the game was too complicated, so we made it so that you just try to roll a high number all the time. High numbers all the time, everybody. And people were like, I hate that too. And then, and so on. And yet now you have people that look back and they claim that third edition is the greatest edition of D&D that ever came out. And, it spawned Pathfinder and it's so amazing. People were kicking and screaming and shitting their pants when third edition came out. Like, they're never happy. They're never happy. There's still people online that play first edition D&D. And there's still people that play second edition D&D. I've always been excited for the new stuff. I started with second edition when they released 2.5 Dungeons and Dragons, which was called Skills and Powers. I lost my mind. I was so excited about it. I could not believe how cool it was. A lot of people thought it was dumb. A lot of people thought it was unnecessary. A lot of people thought we didn't need it. And then I was fucking crazy excited for third edition. And I lost a lot of players because they didn't want to switch to third edition, and I didn't want to keep track of 2 rule sets. So I let all that second edition stuff kind of fade from memory and started learning all the third edition stuff. And then I was there for fourth. Same thing. I said, wow, this is so different. This is crazy. I'm excited about the direction this is going. I've been playing third edition for 10 years. I can't wait to do something new and different and fresh. And that's how I felt when fifth edition came out, and that's how I feel with ONE DND. Like I'm excited to experience the game in a new and different way. And I'm happy that there's so much playtesting going on, and it's open to anyone and everyone who wants, and it's so transparent. It takes a lot of courage to do that, to just kind of open yourself up like that. But I feel like in a way that's kind of modern development in general, right? Is
Early access.
Yeah, early access, right? This is early access Dungeons and Dragons 6th edition, essentially. I don't know. I'm excited for it. Do I disagree with some of the decisions? Do I think some of the stuff is dumb? Absolutely, but I'm still gonna try my best to play test it honestly and fairly and give it a fair shake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I I haven't made my character yet for Sunday, but I feel better knowing that you haven't made the adventure yet for Sunday. So
No, I mean I have the map and I have the outline. I just
oh,
have to
okay,
put all the
okay,
monsters in and everything.
fair. All right, let's see. Beholders make the kickball boink sound when they bounce off the ground. Canon confirmed. Yeah, for sure. Boogeyman, not sure if you're engaging with chat. Yeah, I'm excited about this. Dom and I have been skating around this idea for a while, so I'm waiting for our robot to tell us that we're done. I think we got like five minutes, maybe 10 minutes tops.
Like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let me see here. There was another rule thing that I want to talk about. That came up when I was looking through this.
Valak says, I had to tell one of my players his giant eagle couldn't fly in a 5-foot wide tunnel. I had the audacity once of telling Anastasia in Odyssey Prime that she couldn't fly because there wasn't enough room for her wings. And I honestly thought Red was not going to be my friend anymore. I thought our whole friendship was going to end over it. It was pretty crazy. So.
I think it was the help and hide and invisibility conditions.
Oh yeah, okay. So better clarification for help. When you take the help action, you do one of the following. Choose one, and I love this. Choose one of your skill proficiencies and one ally who can see or hear you. See or hear you. Don't have to be next to him, I don't think, right? Maybe? Let's keep reading.
For ability check, I don't think so.
You give advantage to the next ability check that ally makes with the chosen skill. The benefit expires if the ally doesn't use it before the start of the next turn. To give this assistance, you must be near enough to the ally to assist verbally or physically when the ally makes the check. The DM has the final say on whether or not your assistance is possible. So I thought that was a really good clarification. In our Witchlight game, Lucky always wants to help other people roll dice. I feel like he doesn't want to have to roll the dice himself, but he wants to know that he helps somebody else roll the dice. And there's instances where it's like, well, is there enough room for you to be both doing this task at the same time? But like backseat driving, right? Is now a thing officially with this. If your DM says you can yell out encouragement and tips and whatever from like a distance, I guess it's okay. Some things I would say, like Wednesday night when Will and I were pushing that rock, obviously I can't give him assistance on athletics by shouting at him from 30 feet away. I have to be there helping push the rock. So yeah, like it's cool.
Alternatively, you could be saying like, "Oh, make sure." Yeah,
lift with your knees. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so. I kind of wish it clarified that you could only offer assistance if you are also proficient in that skill.
I mean, it does say, it says choose one of your skills.
One of your skill proficiencies. Okay, so you do,
yeah. So they don't have to be proficient. You have to be proficient in that skill to help.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if there's like a moment where like you cannot, someone has to, like, for some reason you're like in a dungeon, a trap goes, and like somebody needs to hold.
Oh, it's the total.
Way, yes. You can yell out to them like, "Oh, bend your knees when you're holding this thing up," even though they're not proficient in athletics. You can help them.
It's the classic, you could do this, just cut the blue wire. They're all blue wires. Yeah, like it's that situation. That's fantastic.
Yep. And then the assist attack roll. You have to be 5 feet.
Yeah.
Same thing. And it's advantage on the next attack roll by one of your allies against that enemy.
Yeah. So and just nice clarification there. Nice clarification. What do you think about gaining inspiration on a natty 1?
I'm going to find out how I feel about it on Sunday.
I mean, I'm kind of there for it a little bit. Like I want
to see, like, yeah, I don't see an issue with it. We'll find out.
But I think in our games it's kind of a moot point because exciting shit already happens when you roll a nat 1, and there is like a 10 or 15% chance that it's actually something good that happens. On that, list of things that could happen. So, I don't know. I like it though. I think for a raw basic bitch game, I think it's a nice booby prize. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that halflings will never get it because they have to re-roll other ones, right?
No. The thing is though, halflings get both because When a character gains, it says, okay, hold on, let me see if I can read it here.
When a character,
Character is
if they
character
roll
rolls a
one,
one
yeah.
on a d20 test. Not if they fail a
No,
check.
no,
If
no, no,
they
no. It
roll,
says that one must be on the d20 used for the test
oh,
total. So
I see.
halflings can never be inspired. Oh well.
Hmm.
Sucks to be lucky, I guess. Yeah, it's weird.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It says it. It specifically calls it out that it
Yeah.
can't be on a reroll. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Chat says they said they introduced the 3 spell list, Divine, Arcane, and Primal, to make things easier. If you're Class X, you get this list. But in my opinion, the fact that the Bard and the Ranger have exceptions to what they can learn from the list kind of kills any benefit gained from making unified list. Is a Bard player going to look at the Arcane list and figure out what spells are in the school they can cast, or will they just look online for somebody who made a list of spells a Bard has access to, print it, and put the Bard spells list in the back of their PBB?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, sure. Yeah, that's fair. It's fair.
So the reason why they did that 3 split is not necessarily for the classes. It's for when they add new stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's also a return. It's a return to 4th edition. 4th edition was very clearly divided into power sources. You had martial, you had primal, you had divine, you had arcane, and by Player Handbook 3, you had psionic. So you had 5 disciplines essentially that you were getting powers from, and then those 5 disciplines flavored the different subclasses and classes in the world. And I very much feel like they're trying to very subtly kind of move a lot of stuff back towards the 4th edition that everybody claimed to hate so much. But now everybody's like, ooh, man, 4th edition was pretty good. Guess I'll play Pathfinder 2, since that's the closest thing to 4th edition I could play online. And I think they're kind of seeing that and hearing that, and they're like, "Well, shit, we made 4th edition and you hated it. Okay, let's go grab some stuff for 4th edition." I do feel that cleaning the spell list up and making every spell fall into a flavor like that, a power source. I do think that that's going to play a big part in how materials are released and in how
I think that's the main reason why they did this, is because now when they release new spells, they just throw it in that list, and then you can look at your class and see if you qualify. They don't have to make like, oh, we made this new spell. It's for druids, it's for warlocks, it's for
right. If my class gets evocation spells from divine and arcane, okay, and I know that I get evocation spells from divine and arcane. Like, am I going to look up a cheat sheet online like I do whenever I play a moon druid and I want to find out what fucking forms I can turn into? Absolutely. But really, I feel that players need to work a lot harder than they do as far as like knowing their abilities and knowing their class. But ONE D&D Design is trying to take care of that because they're giving you recommendations for literally every part of your character. So if you've got those kind of players that they're there to hang out, they're there to have fun, they don't really want to put in the extra effort, they worked hard all day, they worked hard all week, they don't want Dungeons & Dragons to be homework, those are the players that are just going to take the recommended spells at the recommended levels and the recommended skills, and that's totally okay too. That's totally okay too. Yeah, but that's I think it's the right move for them. Yeah. Raptor21 Echo says, I hope they bring back classifications for enemies, such as Scout, Commander, etc., and abilities such as Supernatural and oh god, I can't remember what EX is. So we can end the is this magical? Yes, I think I've pointed that out to people before, that in earlier editions of D&D, yes, it was very clear what is magic and what is not magical. That would be really, really nice. And the rolls from 4th edition were so good for building the kind of encounter you wanted, right? You're like, I want to have a boss, so I pick a leader or a controller, right? That's what they're called, I think. And then I want them to be safe. So I'm going to give them 2 defenders, like 2 tanky guys to kind of take hits for them. But while they're taking hits and the guy in the back is buffing everybody, I want to have 2 dudes up front that are like hitting you in the face. So I get 2 strikers. And then I want to make sure I have some artillery support. So I put 2 artillery units. And like you look at the monsters, or when you're looking through D&D Beyond, Monster Manual, Monster Compendium, it'd be so fantastic to be able to search by role, right? Like, this fight would be perfect, but I need some artillery support. So I could just look and say, give me artillery monsters, and it spits out monsters that fit that role. Yes, that would make encounter building so nice. It'd be very cool if they went that direction.
I wonder if they'll do, because to do that, then they end up having a lot of monsters of the same, category. Like they'll have a whole bunch of different kobolds, or a whole bunch of different. I mean, right now they're doing it. They showed it in Monsters Multiverse. They have a bunch of different Dwagar. So,
which is again a very 4th edition way of designing content. Yeah, it was all about like reflavoring, reskinning. I don't know. I'm excited. I really hope that they stick to their plan, and I hope that people give it honest, true playtesting and honest, real feedback, because we could build a really great game here, but only if people are going to put in the work, and be honest about it. None of this knee-jerk, I hate this, so I'm going to fill out the survey and just say I hate it. Mm-hmm. Try it, for the love of God. And if you don't have time to try it, watch somebody else do it and see how it actually works in play. Alexa, stop the timer. And that's it. Production manager says we're done. All right.
There's one thing I wanted to mention.
Okay.
So looking at hidden and incapacitate.
Okay.
And, hide and all that
stuff. Yeah, hide and incapacitate.
They're showing this thing called surprise. Mm-hmm. If you're hidden, when you roll initiative, you roll with advantage. And then if you're incapacitated, has surprise. Surprise. If you're incapacitated when you roll initiative, you roll with disadvantage. I'm thinking that, and they haven't said this yet, but I'm thinking that there's going to be no more, when you ambush somebody, it's just a matter of advantage, disadvantage on initiative. That's it.
That would be nice, because that's one of the harder things to teach new players of D&D, is that there's a secret status effect called surprise. That there's no such thing as an actual surprise round. You just sometimes have the surprise status. And there's really not a lot of clarity about what surprise status is, how you get surprise status, what the fuck's going on with it. You just kind of have to trust that your DM knows what they're doing. So I hope we do get some good clarifications on how to establish surprise, what surprise is, and how it's going to affect the battle.
Mm-hmm. All right, now we can finish now.
All right. So let's see. Edwin, to me it feels that some of the spells that have changed school in the spell list later on have not changed to another school based on this spell fit the school, but instead is moved out of evocation school because we want the ranger to be able to cast it, or the spell's moved to a school the bard has access to because we want the bard to have it. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that. Yeah.
Like healing word is now abjuration.
Yeah, we'll probably be looking at some rebranding of schools, maybe even some renaming of spells to maybe divorce them from those origins. But yeah, that's a good point. Abandoning your original design to support a new design, it works, but it also kind of leaves like a disconnect there, where you're used to things being one way and you've been taught to expect them to be one way, and now they change it because it's easier for the new design. That could definitely upset some people and could confuse a lot of people. So hopefully they find a good way to do that, and it might just be get rid of some of the old spells, come up with new spells. I don't know. We'll see. All right. That's it for this. We're going to be playtesting Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and right, Florida's got daylight savings time, right? You guys didn't vote.
I think we vote. I think we might have voted it to not. I have to double check.
Oh shit! Well, damn. Okay. Well, Maryland, for some reason, I'm going to lose an hour this November, so I'm very sad about that.
I'll find out. I'll find out when my phone changes.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. In the middle of Extra Life, you'll find out. So, all right. So we'll be back Sunday to do that. You guys are welcome to join us in chat and watch the game. Otherwise, the VOD will be up shortly afterwards, and you can watch it then. And we'll be back next Friday to talk about some other stuff. Or maybe more ONE DND. I don't know. Whatever we feel like talking about. Yep. All right. And that's it. Talk to you guys later.
All right.